was the residents. What can you tell us about that?
I don't like it one bit. I know these statements take like hours and multiple individuals to review. It's not like this was something said on the side of the street within the first 5 hours of the case. And these guys are professionals. They sat in a room and this is what they came out with. And they keep coming out with statements that create more questions than they answer. And then that creates a pressure. And that's why I'm feeling like there's so many people coming and looking for answers. And I'm one of them.
About the two of them having fallen asleep in the same bed. That was new information. Is that the case, that they were actually in the same bed?
To me, it wasn't new. The coroner had shared a bunch of information about there. There was some photos. If you knew the house design, you would have seen that there was a picture of Kaylee's bed, and it was made. There was nothing in there. So it was kind of a process of elimination. If you'd been in the home, if you knew the inside information, like I knew that was my daughter's room. So to me, it had been out, but I'm sure they're not happy with me saying that. I didn't mean to say something that was supposed to be on the wraps, but
of course
I've told supposed to be on the wraps, but
of course
I've told them, you got to work with me, you got to tell me what to say and what not to say, and I'll listen. But sometimes they're scared to give me those advices, and I understand.
Of something that you said when you spoke with Lawrence Jones, do you believe that people on this campus know something that the rest of us don't know? Do you think that there was a stalker involved in this case?
I don't think it matters what I particularly feel. I just want them to follow the evidence. I think even people who think they don't have information, I know people have been scared to share stuff because of there may be alcohol or drugs or something in the background. I've tried to work with them to let everybody know that that's not what they're working on. But I've definitely heard from people that they're scared to submit stuff. It could be a party. It could be anything around that neighborhood within that time that could help us. And I think that community is going to solve this case just as much as those officers in that room.
You said someone's car could be, in a selfie or a video of a person who said that they had an alibi, but the car isn't where it was supposed to be. Tell me about that, what you're thinking when you say that, sir.
I have an IT background. I know Teslas and some other vehicles have cameras that you don't even have to turn on and they're still recording. And there's some chips in there that you can pull data off. I know that's the way the Wi-Fi's work. So this individual could have came into these homes and partied and done things, and that data can be captured. I want this guy to be fair. I want him to be scared. I don't want him to be confident. I want him to be sick of seeing my face. And I'm not going nowhere until this guy's off the streets. And the worst thing I want is another family to go through this.
That he is around, that he's watching all of this, that he could even show up at a funeral service for your daughter or one of these children.
It's pretty much a fact. He who does something like this and doesn't tune into the media? Who would? It's in his one.
Mail showing the crime scene. We can pull them up on our screen here so people can take a look. What's your takeaway when you look at this? It looks like a pretty typical scene for college students, but does the clutter, the disorganization, does that make it harder or easier to find evidence?
Well, Jack, it makes it more difficult for law enforcement, but you're right. It is a typical college room. They're shared by, at least now we know, 6 students. But when we look at this complete scenario here of what is taking place, it is, we get more from the family about what is taking place than we are getting from law enforcement. But when you look at the inside or the interior of that home, where you have really 3 stories, and the killing took place on the 2nd floor and on the 3rd floor, it leads me to believe that it was someone who had some knowledge of that home. And if you are on the first floor, the only way you can get into this home is through the front door. If you're on the second floor, where or at least two of the individuals were killed, you can get in through the back door, which is a sliding glass door. But whoever killed these 4 students certainly would have been covered in blood. And I would hope that what the authorities would do is put out more information that the public can use other than just this targeting, because this targeting has been very contradictory. At one stage, they said that the students or the house was not targeted. If those were not the targets, then what was or who was the target? And so you've got a frustrated community out there that have not been given enough information.
Yeah. Ted, in one of those pictures that we saw, there's a computer monitor that is still on. It's displaying an error message. But then in some of the other pictures, there's not very much that looks like it's been knocked over or ransacked. Does that, in your mind, help to rule out any motives?
Well, I don't think they can rule out anything at this stage, Jackie. I'm sure that law enforcement has taken a look at that computer. They've looked around each and every one of these rooms. As you know, this was and is a crime scene. And up until yesterday, the automobiles in front of this crime scene was left in place, frozen in time.
Yeah.
So they have done, meaning law enforcement, a deep scrub of those street theories to try to determine who is or was the killer. And so what they're now doing is through forensics. They are going back. They're looking at the test of the forensics. They know that this was at one time a party house. So they're now trying to do a process of elimination to try to find the killer. They're trying to also talk to anybody who knew any of these 4 students to find out if there were any beefs that anybody would have had against any one of these 4 students that would have led to this kind of a murder.
You know, we learned from one of the victim's fathers, notably not from the police, that his daughter died in the same bed as her best friend. So one question investigators have now is, how was a killer able to overtake 2 victims at the same time? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one of the things is it could have been and Kaylee, because they were both found on the 3rd floor in a bedroom together. But we do know that there were some defensive wounds about some of these individuals' bodies. So that meant that there could very well have been someone who fought. The medical examiner said that she believes that they were asleep when they were initially attacked. But during the course of the attack, somebody or somebody's fought. And as a result of that, there may very well be some DNA evidence that will help the authorities to bring the killer or killers to justice.
Okay. Isn't this Bethany Funk's room? Is that why she has exculpatory evidence in this case that Ann Taylor is looking for to question her? You can see the forensic